Listen up guys, I'm going to let you in on a secret. There are really only 5 things that you need to know if you want to live a frugal life, avoid debt and build wealth. I could run you through 1,000 day-to-day money saving tips, but it's these 5 things that are the crucial principles of living within your means. They can help you maximize happiness even when you don't have a ton of money. Do these 5 things and life gets a whole lot easier. Good news is they're really simple and you can start today. First up, ditch FOMO and the status game. I don't waste money trying to look wealthy or trying to keep up with other people. Over the last few years, I've realised that it's way better to have money in the bank, accumulating wealth and providing me with a safety net, than it is to accumulate stuff. Money in the bank, I know that I can afford next year's big family holiday that we're taking and also the long weekend trip that I'm taking with friends. It also means that I have emergency funds just in case of a sudden repair for the car or a sudden expense for the house or a sudden loss of income. It is a huge comfort to know that I can cover emergencies with the money that I have stashed away. My income does not make me a wealthy person by any means, but I've learned that spending to look rich and accruing stuff to try and keep up with what other people are doing or spending their money on is just a mug's game. At best, you have a load of stuff to try and manage in your home, and at worst, you end up in debt. Just think about it. If you could care less about what other people think about you, what stuff other people have, and what the stuff that you own says about you, then you'd probably spend a whole lot less. The trouble with spending based on FOMO and trying to keep up with the aspirational lifestyles of influencers and the people in our lives who we envy is that it will never be over. There's always a new thing to spend your money on. Now, of course, not everyone in your life who maybe you envy their lifestyle, and not every influencer will be getting into debt in order to live the aspirational lifestyle that they're living. Maybe they just earn more money than you. And that could be thanks to a higher salary or maybe family wealth. And it is really, really hard to look at people who have bigger house than you, take more holidays than you, nicer cars than you, and not feel envious. It's like human nature to be competitive, but it is not worth trying to play the rules of their game when you're playing a completely different one. Take salary completely out of it, and even someone on the same wage as you, their rules, approach to risk with their money, and what they stand for may be entirely different to you. And when you spend money to impress other people or keep up with other people, you're not going to necessarily be spending your money on the things that are most important to you. It's not glamorous, but I think about, what do I really need? I need the roof over our heads, I need food, I need money towards my retirement and a rainy day, and to occasionally help out the kids here and there. It's fine to spend on other stuff beyond that I don't need, as long as those core essentials are always protected, and that I'm spending money on non-essentials that actually are things that I care about. I play by my own rules, and I don't let other people's choices knock me off course. Don't let yourself fall foul of FOMO and playing someone else's game. The next really important frugal tip I want to share is that price is what you pay, value is what you get. This is a phrase that I think was popularized by Warren Buffett, and what it means to me is that I never overpay or underpay for stuff that I need. So let's just say that I need to buy a vacuum cleaner and the cheapest one on the market is £50. The reviews say it just about picks up a bit of dust and cat hair from the carpet for a few months before the filters get clogged and the dodgy wheels fall off and it goes kaput and you have to replace it. But there's another choice. There's a really fancy brand name vacuum cleaner that all of the influencers are using on their social media posts. They're strutting around the carpets in their home as if it's a red carpet, looking super dolled up, and they make it look amazing. The reviews are great too, and the price is £500. And then there's a mid-range vacuum cleaner that gets just as good reviews as the really expensive one, but it only costs like £180, and I managed to find it with an offer for only £170, and it lasts me years. This is a true story. And what I'm ultimately really trying to say is that frugality is not about being cheap, and focusing too much on the price can be misleading and lead you to spend more money in the long run. However, it is still worth taking time to look at the price and making sure that you're getting the best price. Speaking of spending money, let's move on to the next tip, which is to only spend what you have. It seems like a really, really obvious one, but we're living in a time when getting credit and buying things on the never has been completely and utterly normalized. It's never been easier to not only spend your own money because the checkout process is just so super speedy now, but also to spend money that you don't actually have. Once you start spending money that you don't have, it's a slippery slope. All of these 0% deals eventually catch up with you, then interest starts to accrue and accrue and accrue, and it's a nasty snowball effect that leads you to debt, not being able to cover your normal bills, and a whole lot of stress. So we don't just need to differentiate between wants and needs, we also need to consider whether something is actually affordable for us. I was really shocked to find out, I didn't realize this until recently, that you can pay for a Deliveroo takeaway with buy now, pay later. I mean, like, to me, it's like really simple. If you do not have the money in your bank for that takeaway, then you should not be having that takeaway. I think it's a really slippery slope when little items like a takeaway are being put on credit. The best way to stick with only spending the money that you have is quite simply to set a budget and stick with it. This simply involves working out your income and all of your outgoings, and then working out places where you could feasibly cut back and make savings. I heard a really cool budgeting method recently that I think could really work well for a lot of people, and actually I'm going to try doing it in January. And all you have to do is work out what your income is and what your outgoings are for your essential bills. You pay those essential bills out of your bank account, and then the money that's left for other things like your groceries, say fuel for your car, and for any non-essential spending, you divide that amount that's left by the number of days in the month. And if you spend less on any given day, then you reconfigure the amount to work out how much you've got left to spend on the remaining days of the month. I think it's such a great incentive to encourage you to spend less than what you have every single day, and also to track little bits of spending. Whatever's left at the end of the month goes into savings. And I just really love this method because it just makes it crystal clear to you how much you can afford to spend every single day. The next important frugal tip is to reduce waste. Waste costs people thousands every single year. That includes food that's gone bad and has to be thrown away, home decor and clothes that have fallen out of favour, and also technology that we swapped for a better model. If you can use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without, then you're going to save money. Make sure that you're making a meal plan for the food that you buy. And a really great way actually to not only ensure that you're cutting back on waste, also to make the food that you buy for a week last, is to challenge yourself to make a weekly shop last for 10 days. You'll be amazed at how creative you can get with things, and how you can make leftovers stretch a little bit further, and how you eat up forgotten cans of food that are in the back of your cupboard when you force yourself to do something like this. Another way to reduce your waste is to look after your things. Maintenance is much cheaper than repair, and repair is much cheaper than replacement. Hang on to your stuff right until the bitter end, making sure you're doing everything you can to make it last. Another really important to make as part of this tip is that if you can spend more money now on buying extras of what you're going to need later, then you should absolutely do this, provided you're definitely not going to waste the extra that you bought. A really prime example of this is food deals. Say if you buy 3 packs of meat and you get a discount on that. You need to be really sure that when these things come to your home and you have to freeze them because you're not going to immediately eat it today or tomorrow, but that you have a plan to use it eventually, and that you're definitely going to use it up, because otherwise those money savings aren't money savings, you've just wasted money. And the final tip is to maximize your savings, and putting together all of the things that I've said above should put you in a much stronger position to be able to do this. As soon as I started plowing more money into savings, things got so much easier and life was so much less stressful. It meant that I had money to pay for stuff that I really want, including big stuff like family holidays, but also that I could cover emergency expenses when they arose without going into an overdraft or having to rely on any kind of credit cards. And then there comes a point where your savings are making money for you without you having to do anything. I heard the author and personal finance journalist Morgan Housel say on a podcast that all that he was trying to do in terms of his investment and saving strategy was to be average for an above average amount of time. And by doing this, he hoped to make the most of his investments over a very lengthy period of time, decades. And I think you could also apply that theory to people who are only able to put away a small amount of money, a below average amount of money into their savings every single month. As long as they're doing it for a long period of time, they're going to benefit. So for example, £20 put away into an investment account every single month with a return of 8% on average for 40 years could leave you with £69,220. And the really amazing part of this is that you yourself only contributed £9,600 to that total. all of the rest of it was from the effect of compound interest. Small amounts really do make a difference as long as you have the patience to stick with it and give yourself time for that patience to pay off. Okay, those are my 5 most important frugal tips. I would love to know if you had to write down 5 things that have been most important for you in living a frugal life, what would they be? Please share them in the comments below. Let's inspire each other to keep going and have a really financially successful 2025. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up and subscribe for more from me.